So whatever campaign has the highest spend, whatever ads have the highest spend, that is your global remarketing for your omni-channel MMM strategy.
Yeah.
And that a lot of times is a round peg in a square hole, which means, okay, well, that's working on Meta, but do I want that product to remarket all my TikTok traffic, all of my organic traffic, all of my email traffic, all of my direct traffic, all of my influencer traffic? Is this the one ad that we want to remarket every single person on our site? And if that answer is no, then that's where a feeder comes in.
How do you decide how much budget to push into the core campaign versus the feeder? Because in that scenario that you just showed, the efficiency was going into the core campaign, but it was impacted by the feeder. Is there a point where you need to scale up the core campaign, or are you playing off ratios? Yeah, what's kind of your thought process on that?
Yeah. So what we did is this main campaign of all products, we're actually going to pretty much just kind of keep it like right here at about 100K a week in spend. That'll be static. I do not want to actually increase spend here pretty much at all if I can help it.
Okay.
What I am going to attempt to do is get the joint campaign to at least 80K.
Okay. So it's kind of the same philosophy then as like our Black Friday like thought process, where it's like we're trying to push as hard as we can on the feeder and see when efficiency starts to drop.
Sort of. We're going to push harder on the feeder and see, where we plateau with new joint customers. So if any time we say we increase here and it didn't do this, if it didn't increase, then we have to evaluate. Evaluate what's going on, essentially.
Gotcha.
But the end goal is because this is, remember, about $80,000 is spent in this campaign on joint.
Yeah.
So I want to increase this one up to at least like 80K. And I'll probably have to take this immunity with it somehow. But I want this essentially to be scaled up to equal of joint, because now I have one product that's best selling. Now I have two products that's best selling.
Okay.
And they're selling about the same.
Got it. Okay. And this and a few things too to clarify on that. So we're assuming that you either have hit efficiency on the immunity product, right? The previous winner, and you're at a wall. So I'm just giving scenarios of what people will be in, not in your scenario, right? So in order to do this, you're saying, okay, either I hit efficiency wall on the immunity and I need to scale to another product, or I want to test another product. This is how you can do it. In your scenario, you're wanting to diversify, because this is your business too. You're wanting to diversify the product offering in order to just have a safer business model per se, right? That's kind of the general goal.
That would also be able to react to what your company's goals are. Like we know that we need to increase sales on a product, or we need to increase lead flow on a service. There's really not a clear way to do that with Andromeda.
Yeah.
They launch a new campaign, and that new campaign just redirects old traffic to the new campaign.
Yeah. And it scoops up and it'll go whatever direction is the most efficient based on your event. Correct.
So Andromeda forces you to pivot your goals. Feeder allows you to achieve a scalable target of each one of those goals.
Okay. So it's kind of a decision that people have to make, where it's like, okay, do we want to push for efficiency right now, or do we want to push potentially for efficiency on another product instead? Assuming that you're still at goal for the original product. You just don't want to be a one product company.
Well, you'll have to understand where that company was before, because if they have 10 SKUs and they are now a one product company, did they look like me, where 80% of the spend is just going to one product because it works? Because you can have efficiency on your all product campaign, but only sell one of those products, and you could have 1,000.
Right. And that could be, what I'm saying is that could be fine if you're making like a $1 off of it. Let's say you scale it to the moon kind of thing, but it's just higher risk. So that makes a lot of sense.
And it's going to do whatever it wants. So that's the part. All of a sudden it just changes gears and is like, screw the Band-Aids. Now we're selling gauze. You're like, well, I didn't want to do that. I'd be like, good luck. Like,
Yeah.
we did it. Now, what are you going to do? You're like, I have to upload new creative. I got to pause now what's now working on
Yeah, you're
gauze.
trying to control the chaos, and it's very hard to do that with just creative.
Yeah, now we get to steer and feed the chaos.
Got
And
it.
we get to have the added benefit of remarketing all of our other traffic with our main campaign rather than, well, Meta is spending the most amount of money on these ads, which means everybody that's been to your site is now being only remarketed this product.
Correct.
That is a global whoopsie daisy for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so the other question, which we already covered in the previous video, but just want to confirm, it's both going after FC and C. So same event. However, the attribution is organized differently to prioritize the core campaign getting more credit. And the reason for that is so it can lean into where it needs to lean into based off the data that's being fed into it. Is that correct?
Well,
it can pivot faster.
Well, sort of, because it has the highest amount of ad spend. That campaign is now the majority of what your Meta account is doing. So whatever campaign has the highest spend, whatever ads have the highest spend, that is your global remarketing for your omni-channel MMM strategy.
Yeah.
And that a lot of times is a round peg in a square hole, which means, okay, well, that's working on Meta, but do I want that product to remarket all my TikTok traffic, all of my organic traffic, all of my email traffic, all of my direct traffic, all of my influencer traffic? Is this the one ad that we want to remarket every single person on our site? And if that answer is no, then that's where a feeder comes in.
Got it. Okay, so makes sense. So 7-day click, 1-day view, 1-day engage view on the feeder or on the core campaign, going after first click new customers, and then on the feeder campaign, 7-day click, first click new customers, and that's just there to get some attribution, to give it some general direction, but it's mainly just spend levels is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't want the main. I wanted the main campaign that is going to remarket everybody I'm bringing into the site. I like, you know what? The feeder is the front door, and the main campaign is still the cash register.
Yeah.
If I open up the front door wider, so I bring in a different user in, I want the cash register to say, "Yep, those people are buying too," and I'm gonna start to show these ads more because I spend 20 grand a day. I get to do whatever I want. But am I steering myself without the advertisers or the media buyers' control? No, and that's what's currently happening.
Okay. So that all makes sense. I mean, that's pretty easy. So it's pretty much just the same general build that we have in the school community to start, and then you rotate to this when you want to push a certain product, and you can just completely pause the original build and rotate over to the core build and do a pretty aggressive swing because the algorithm is just going to carry it all over, and it's going to more attribution. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Okay, so the last and final question that I think I have is deduping. So we've talked about deduplication with ad sets going from one creator to the other. There was a really good question in the school community because this was a question I had as well with the feeder is how does Andromeda deal with deduplicating users? Now, my thought process originally was it was deduping based off of the event and then different creative. But since we're using the same creative and the same event, is it just because the attribution's looser on one versus the other? How does that necessarily work?
Yeah, so I'm going to draw this out. It's actually what they call the opportunities. So let's do this. We have
This is new for me. I'm totally learning new things now.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's what they call the opportunity level, and that's how Andromeda was built is creative opportunities. Okay, we have 3 different ad sets, and then there's an opportunity line here, and then these are all of our users down here floating in the pool. So each ad set, and it's at the ad set level, not the campaign. So Meta actually has 0 to do with campaigns anymore. Campaign does nothing. Nothing. That's according to the engineer of Andromeda. The ad set is everything. And so the ad sets, this could be in all one campaign. It could be 3 different campaigns. But you'll have your clicks coming from all of these campaigns, and they will overlap with everybody. You're spending CPM money, which means this overlap is constantly happening all the time. Now, once an opportunity down here that is clicking on these ads and everything, once the opportunity crosses this threshold of, once a user crosses this threshold of what they say is opportunity, it says, hey, I think this person's going to convert. They are now an opportunity. Then the campaign that has the highest ad spend and the most efficiency says, mine, you two are now banned from this user. You cannot go here. I am the only one that can now market to this person. So they're done at what they call the opportunity level. So the reason why Andromeda wanted consolidation is so that you don't step a few step backs here. So you don't have 3 ad sets all spending the same money on the same user.
Yeah.
Because now you have CPM times 1, times 2, times 3.
Yeah.
That could be very, very good if you wanted to triple up your frequency on different creatives so that you can diversify your company's
servability.
Well, yeah, like, do you want to be known as I'm Bob and I sell a shoe, or do you want to be known as Walmart? I sell shoes, hats. I mean, you can find anything you want here. That would be a good reason. So we sell donkeys and Ferraris and beach houses.
Sounds like a company for me.
Exactly. I would love a donkey and a Ferrari and a beach house. But if you're like, hey, we only sell donkeys, you're like, fuck, I wish you had a beach house. Now you can. We sell everything. So that is a good reason to diversify your SKU portfolio to the world. But that's the problem, is that you're going to spend triple to do that.
Yeah.
But once Meta says, I think they're ready to buy, they turn into an opportunity. It gets deduped wherever it wants to dedupe. And then one ad set gets to take over. So feeder strategy leverages that. I'm going to bring in new users. Hey, you're new. 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 Main campaign's like, I'm going to remarket everybody because I spend a whole bunch more. The feeder campaign can remarket everybody too. But once it's found as an opportunity, well, the main campaign gets 10 times as many conversions as feeder. So feeder will stop remarketing, go find someone new, and the main campaign gets to take all the credit because it's last click and it's also remarketing. It's last click attributed, so it can feed it can pat itself on the back. And it did so with the same ads that I used to bring the person in the first time. It's a win-win. That's why my click-through rate doubled. Hey, if you like this video, we have a school community where we have a few hundred members and we cover topics, everything from the basics to all the way to the like hyper crazy advanced stuff that's like coming out next month. So a few hundred members there. We go live twice a week, something with an hour-long education about something that is very relevant to the community that week, plus a weekly Q&A where you just get to come and bring us all of your problems and we solve them one at a time.
So I have a link below in the description if you want to join. And then obviously if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can answer those for you. And we'll see you in there.